So Sinn is an independent German brand that makes these tough, minimalist tool watches. They've always had a pretty loyal following among the watch community, but it seems like only recently there have been more and more Chinese brands that have been doing homages of Sinn watches. So that includes brands like Bernie, Steel Flyer, Militato, and there even seems to be a brand new company called Engelmann that has dedicated to itself to homaging Sinn's entire line practically. But today we are going to unbox and review the Sinn homage from Milifortic. And Milifortic is the sister brand of Boltony, a brand that's pretty well liked, pretty well loved in the Chinese watch community. I have a couple of Boltonys myself. This is going to be my first Milifortic though. So we'll see if this is a worthy homage of the Sinn 556, which it is an homage of. By the way, my name's Brian, the Chinese watch guy. I live in China. I like affordable watches, especially Chinese watches. This watch was lent to me by Milifortic. Thank you very much. And I'm going to send it back to them after this review. All right, I say let's get into it. The model is called the S110, by the way. Okay, so we see what looks like a nice travel case. Okay, well cushioned inside. Looking and feeling like, a decent Sinn 556 homage. What else do we have in the case? Warranty card. Branded cleaning cloth. And our usual spring bar tool. All right, let's get these out of the way. So kind of a different packaging from Boltonys usually. And yeah, feeling pretty good, pretty solid so far. I can see it has a similar case to the actual 556. We'll compare it to the 556 I have over there in a moment. I also have a another Engelmann Sinn homage over there. I can take a compare. Looks like the usual leather straps that we get with Boltonys as well. They're pretty good actually. Perhaps a bit boring though. Okay, let's get the plastic off, take a closer look. Okay, I've got the plastic off and my impressions are good. It feels substantial. It feels like a good pilot slash tools watch. Quite solid. Finishing seems to be quite clean. We will look at these closer under macro shots. Let's take a quick comparison to the real thing, Sinn 556. So yeah, if you focus on the case, it's pretty much a one-to-one, pretty much a one-to-one copy of the Sinn 556 case. It is an homage after all. Now, it doesn't have the glossy black dial that the people like about the Sinn 556. More of a matte dial, like the 556i. The 556a has a matte black dial, more similar to the Milifortic here. Okay, let's measure the dimensions. Okay, so the Milifortic S110 weighs in at 78 grams. We can compare this to the 556, weighing in a little bit less, 75 grams. I put it back on the leather strap just for a fair comparison. The case is exactly 39 millimeters in diameter. Lug to lug's looking like about 46 millimeters. And it is 12 millimeters thick. The strap should indeed be 20 millimeters. So these 556 by comparison, pretty similar, just a bit smaller at 38.5 millimeters in diameter, 46 millimeters lug to lug, and just a bit thinner, 11.4 millimeters thick. So just a bit smaller overall. I don't know if you can see that. All right, let's talk about the dial. I mean, as you can see, the dial, there's not much to say in terms of original design. It's pretty much a one-to-one copy of the 556. Very minimalistic sword, hour, and minute hands. Here we have a red needle second hand, and we do have that variation of the Sinn 556 as well. The base of the hour and minute hands are blackened around the pinion. That's meant to give kind of a nice floating effect of those hands. Printed minute markers around that dial and applied baton indices around the dial. So just like the 556, the only ways that it really varies, of course, are the logo. We have the Milifortic logo at 12 o'clock. Some people don't really appreciate that logo or that brand name. It doesn't bother me. We have automatic at 12 o'clock, similar to the Sinn, except the Sinn has a K instead of a C in automatic, which some people find kind of cool. Now the hands do differ. If you noticed earlier, there is some variation there. Right? Does it feel like the sword hands are just a touch thicker on the Milifortic? Yeah, I feel like they're just a bit more elegant on the 556. Now, the original version, I believe, of the hands on the Milifortic were outlined in black. And yeah, some people didn't like that. I think they perhaps made them appear too small. Now they've changed them to white. Perhaps an improvement. Some people feel this is an improvement. I feel it actually now makes them feel just a touch too thick. Yeah, but not too bad. What are your thoughts? We do have a screw down case back and a screw down crown. I did try that screw down crown earlier. I feel like it's a bit tight. I feel like it could use a bit more lubrication. Inside, we do have the Seiko NH38. So we have no ghost date on this watch. Okay, so let's look at this under some macro lens. So we can see clean horizontal brushing along the flanks. Doing a pretty good job here, and I think their sister brand as well. They tend to do a good job with the finishing, pretty clean transitions. Even along that kind of multifaceted bezel, adds some interest. There is a signed crown with their logo. So pretty well done, especially at this price point. I mean, they are homaging a far more expensive watch. And there is some circular brushing along that bezel. So the brushing is consistent with the tool-like nature of the watch. It does seem, though, that the bezel here is a bit thicker than the original. I do like a relatively thinner bezel of the 556, which just looks a bit more elegant. Yeah, perhaps the flanks are also a bit thinner on the original. But it makes up for that by not having a display case back, allowing it to remain relatively thin overall. Oh, we do have, of course, a flat sapphire crystal, looking like good AR, again, similar to their sister brand, Boltony, who usually have really good anti-reflective coating. We'll test this out in the sunlight. Okay, as you can see, there's excellent AR coating, pretty minimal reflection, except under strong direct light. Okay, let's do a lume test next to its cousins, the Citadel UTC on the left and the actual Sinn 556 on the right. So you can see it has pretty strong lume, what looks to be C3 lume, and you can see, as many Chinese watches do, actually beating out the Sinn 556 fairly quickly. Although after about 15 minutes, it starts to fade, and the Engelmann just showing off at this point with its Lume stamina. Okay, if there is a watch that is a strap monster, one that could fit almost any strap, it would be the 556i design. And the Milifortic, as you can see, looking good on an olive NATO strap. You saw it on a gray NATO strap earlier already. And to give it a vintage feel, here it is on a gray distressed leather strap. By the way, the Sinn 556 looks great on an H-link bracelet, so I was curious if Engelmann's H-link bracelet would fit. And it does. The end links fit perfectly. Unfortunately, the spring bars do not. Okay, let's talk about negatives of the watch. And I would mostly be nitpicking here. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like now that the hands are outlined in white instead of black, I feel they are a bit too thick. That might be subjective, perhaps because I have the 556i to refer to. I would have preferred if the Milifortic had a glossy dial as the 556i has. But again, these are only shortcomings in comparison to a, well, frankly, much more expensive watch. We could also talk about the accuracy. I mean, just typical unregulated Seiko NH movement, quite a lot of positional variance. And the design, of course, is basically a clone, nothing original here. Okay, final thoughts. This is an excellent daily beater, an excellent daily watch. It is a strap monster. The simplistic design lends it to matching with all sorts of straps. So at 116 euros or 135 US dollars, about great value. I believe $10 will cover shipping and tariffs to the US. And this compares to 1,500 US dollars or 1,300 euros for the 556i these days, just on a strap without a bracelet. It's over $1,900, almost 2K these days with the bracelet. Is it a true replacement for the 556i? Not quite. You know, there's a few details with the hands, the dial, the case, which I mentioned, which just short of the elegance of the 556i. So for other alternatives, we do have from Milifortic the ML096, which is their 556A homage, and I think perhaps I might like that better. The Arabics, I think, go better with the matte black dial. Milifortic also has a green dial version of this watch, which I think is pretty good. Now at the lower end, we have the Bernie Pilot watch in titanium, which has a VH31 quartz movement. And if you want to go for a higher end watch, Engelmann has their 556 homage. It's a spec monster, but it is almost double the price. Okay, that's all for this time. I'm Brian, the Chinese watch guy. If you like videos like these, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.